Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of MSBA's Open Session program. And on this program, we're going to be discussing the topic of preventing child abuse during the coronavirus pandemic. And joining us to discuss that topic is Jessica Seitz, and Jessica is Director of Public Policy for an organization called Missouri Kids First. And Jessica, thanks for being with us. First of all, we appreciate it.
Thank you for having me today. Really looking forward to talking over this issue.
Tell us, first of all, Jessica, about Missouri Kids First. What's your organization all about?
Sure. So similar to MSBA, Missouri Kids First is a membership association. Our members are made up of Missouri's child advocacy centers. So for those who may be familiar with what a CAC is, a child advocacy center is a place where when there becomes an open case of child abuse and neglect, you're referred to a child advocacy center. There, it is kind of the hub of the investigation. So that is where kids are brought to a child-friendly environment where they're interviewed, and then they also can receive services, so counseling and things like that. And so there are 15 throughout the state that cover the whole, that they're broken up by region. So those are my members. And then we are also the Missouri chapter of Prevent Child Abuse Missouri. So my role as their policy director is just to be their voice before legislators and other leaders.
Mm-hmm. Jessica, we've seen a disturbing trend with the coronavirus pandemic, with school buildings closed. A lot of us are at home these days, and we've seen a drop in the reports to the state's child abuse and neglect hotline. And why is that a concern?
Right. Well, first, I'm just going to say just how critically important calls to the child abuse and neglect hotline. So in Missouri, our hotline is run by our Department of Social Services. And we heavily rely on calls to the hotline of suspicions of child abuse and neglect, because once that report is made, is really how the social services can open a case, either to provide families with services. I mean, you can't kick in a CAC, can't start serving kids if they didn't get the referral. So now the biggest source, the way that the hotline works in Missouri, the biggest source of reports, about 3/4 of reports, are from mandated reporters. Those are those individuals who are, if they suspect, are mandated to report to the child abuse hotline. And so school professionals, most school professionals, almost all, are mandated reporters. And they're by far the biggest source. The principals, teachers, counselors, social workers are the biggest source of reporters. So we commonly, when schools close, do see a dip in hotline calls for spring break and summer, and then similarly an uptick when school returns. But this is even more dramatic. Calls declined by like 50% when things really started going in the second week of March. And it's even more dramatic because during this time of severe isolation, those individuals who may step in and keep an eye on for kids and kids' safety, and when schools are closed, are also not seeing children. So, I mean, they're not going to church, they're not playing sports, they're not even going for their normal pediatrician visits. So all those other categories of mandated reporters are also not seeing children. So we don't even have the backup safety net that we would normally have.
So Jessica, your organization, then, you're launching an effort to make people aware that these reports need to be made to the hotline, even in these unusual situations. Is that right?
Yes. So what we decided is that, we kind of had two issues. We had schools were working, rapidly. Everybody was kind of trying to figure out how to respond in this unique situation. So schools are still depending on the district, are still working with kids. They're still trying to serve kids virtually. They're still trying to, but we don't have the in-person. So we had kind of two tasks. We wanted to, one, ensure that school professionals who are mandated reporters were remembering kind of their role as a mandated reporter. So while you're also trying to figure out how you're going to hold a classroom, virtually, remember that, look for the same signs virtually that you normally would physically. An absence, make sure a child is not, that would be an indicator the child could be unsafe. So we kind of had some mandated reporting in the time of virtual learning, but also we realized that we've got to rely on new eyes to be on kids. So the general public, we also have it we decided that we'd come up with materials and try to disseminate them to essential workers who are still seeing families. So delivery workers, groceries, pharmacies, those places that we are continuing to go. And maybe the only places that are open in our communities. So, if you think, who have you seen today? If it's only the mailman, delivery. So we realized we really had to get communications out there to try to get calls back up.
And so that's how school board members and the rest of us can be part of this effort, in that people that we see in the community may be able to participate in that way.
Yeah, so MSBA, we've worked together. You guys are a great partner, and you're one of my first calls because school board members, essentially wear all of those, have all of those hats. So you're members of the community. You may be those business owners and those essential workers, and then you also are a channel into our schools, and all those schools are mandated, and so if somebody's serving on a school board, they have committed to keeping kids safe. And so there's really, you wear both a community member and a school hat. And so I really thought that was a kind of a natural outreach touch point to get this information out there. Just reminding folks that we're really looking for all adults to remember that they're essential for kids. And so that's where we got the name. Essential for Kids just kind of happened organically. I think I said it one day and we said, that sounds like a great name for the campaign that we're coming up with on the fly.
So Jessica, what should we do if we suspect that there's a case of abuse going on?
Yeah, so I think, we wanted to try to make, so we have up on all, and I understand you'll share the website. We have all the materials up on our website, so I won't read everything off of a sheet, but I can say that if you are starting to see, we have in all our materials all have some simple signs to try to look for a child may be unsafe. But I would say that we have kind of 3 points that I cannot emphasize enough, especially for those individuals who may not have gone through a mandated reporter training in the past. I would say the most important, and this is for mandated and non-mandated reporters, is trust your gut. I know that sounds simple, but if something doesn't look safe, doesn't feel safe, trust it. And then I go 2 points. First, people can be really nervous about the idea of making a hotline call. So I wanted to emphasize that making a report to the Department of Social Services, you're asking for a professional to check on a children and family for their safety and well-being. You're not making an accusation. You don't have to have proof before you make that call. So you don't have to there's a lot of second guessing. I don't know for sure. I don't know. They're the experts. Let them decide. A call to social services is not a natural opening up in an investigation. It's not open. Social services has trained staff, and they're the ones who do it. So people think that they have to gather all their evidence before they make that call. It's just a suspicion. And then I can't say that because I get a lot of concerns, especially first-time callers. And then because of this unique time, this is why it's so important. Do not assume that somebody else has made that call, because we are quarantined, we are isolated, we're not seeing very many people. If you see that child, if you have a concern that a child is unsafe or in a situation of abuse and neglect, you may be the only person who's seen that child. So there's a real risk to not making the call right now.
And Jessica Seitz, again, more information is available, I presume, on the Missouri Kids First website.
Yes. So we've got some handouts, some printable flyers, just some general information. We've got information about the hotline, how to make a call, what to expect, just if people really, and then we have some videos. And we're also really working to kind of push simple, easier, more digestible than a whole sheet of resources we're putting it out on our Twitter and Facebook. And we've shared that information with MSBA, and I know you will as well share it out, because it's really a simple concept, and we just need to get it in many hands as possible.
All right, Jessica Seitz with Missouri Kids First, thank you so much for being with us on this edition of Open Session. And we thank you as well for being with us on MSBA's Open Session program.